We have uncovered email evidence that corroborates our assertion that it was John Malone, Liberty Media's American billionaire chairman and owner of F1, that caused Masi to tear up the rulebook to engineer an American-style last-lap race that has tarnished F1 forever. It is pertinent to note that Lewis Hamilton's prolonged silence in response to the Abu Dhabi fiasco is golden, and continues to damn Toto Wolff, Liberty Media, its wholly owned subsidiary F1, the corrupt FIA and their hatchet man, Michael Masi. However, Liberty Media's silence is an admission of guilt. We have continued to scour the internet for any statement from Liberty Media on the debacle that unfolded in Abu Dhabi but have yet to come across any, so if anyone has, please forward us the link. We have, however, come across 2 items of information, including the email evidence referenced earlier. Before presenting our discoveries, we should point out that it is customary in all large institutions or corporations for glory to flow seamlessly up the command chain, and blame to flow swiftly down the chain. Consequently, the fact that Liberty Media has so far stood silently behind Masi is a clear indication that he was acting on the direct order of someone above him, who we have stated is John Malone, the man at the top of the pyramid. The first piece of corroborating information is an article that was posted on pitpass.com. The author recognized, like we did, that the responsibility for Abu Dhabi lay above Masi, and pointed the finger at Greg Maffei, who as the Liberty Media Group CEO could exert that kind of pressure on Masi. Maffei reports to Malone, the only other person who could exert that kind of pressure on Masi, but the email evidence exonerates Maffei, so that means the culprit was John Malone, the chairman. The email evidence comes from a posting by one Chris Cooper on racefans.net. In his posting, Mr. Cooper provides excerpts of the email that he says he exchanged with Greg Maffei. Taking his comments at face value, it is a damning indictment of Messrs. Maffei and Malone. In the first instance, Maffei's response is neither a ringing endorsement nor staunch defense of the FIA or F1, it is more like Pontius Pilate washing his hands of responsibility. Maffei, however, acknowledges that he is aware that there is a perception, or risk of perception, that Liberty Media are in hiding over the matter, yet to date they have not seen fit to speak. This is guilty silence which only his boss, the culprit, can order. Mr. Maffei further asserts that Liberty Media are not in control of many elements of the race. This of course begs the question of what elements they are in control of. As the commercial rights holder, Liberty Media have no business being in control of any elements of the race. All elements of the race should be under the exclusive preserve of a supposedly independent FIA. Critically, Maffei, in his penultimate sentence, makes a superficial distinction between Liberty Media and F1. This is the beginning of an attempt to protect his boss, by making a distinction between the parent and the subsidiary. This is ominous for those further down the line like Masi. John Todt has of course departed and is beholden to Liberty Media for the development of Formula E, so he's an ideal fool man. Maffei emphasizing the full stop on working to create competitive racing on the grid, is a classic sign of a guilty conscience spilling itself, because he doth protest too strongly. It is a backhanded acknowledgement that things went awry in Abu Dhabi in the effort to create competitive racing. However, he then paradoxically contradicts himself in the next and last sentence, by tying creating competitive racing to their long-term economic interests. The whole world knows that their long-term economic interests are to promote the sport in the US, where races finishing under safety cars are unwelcome. After all, this was the most competitive season in history. The first time in 47 years that both contenders were tied on points going into the final race and were 1 and 2 on the grid. The race was gripping for 57 out of 58 laps. There was the tension of whether Lewis on his old tyres could withstand the late charge from Max on fresher tyres. Whether Max could overtake the lapped cars in a final lap dash to snatch a historic 8th title away from the most successful driver ever. The race had everything to sign off a spectacular season except the green flag finish that the American owners were used to and wanted above all else. For want of a last lap race, a glorious season was tarnished, and integrity was lost. Masi, and the rest of the motley crew, did no better, and were on course to keep the faith until Malone instructed otherwise, and they all cravenly gave in to him.